world of uniparty politics, Americans are not seeing that fascism is not bearing to the left or the right, but a corporate endeavor to control policy for self-enrichment and aggrandizement to non-existent issues to socially condition the masses for global influence and control. This is today's New World Order. We the people are not happy with it. This is America Talks.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in this week to America Talks. I'm your host, Greg Toller. I about made that mistake, John. Greg Toller here in Kentucky, and the co-host, John Grosvenor, up in New Hampshire. How you doing this week, John?
I'm doing a lot better than Jasmine Crockett. Apparently, she's a person of low IQ, according to Trump, and I agree with them. But I'm definitely doing better than low IQ Jasmine Crockett. I'm sure of it.
Oh, yeah, well, I think all of us probably are for sure. So this week, we have Dianne from Tim Walt's country, Minnesota. Dianne, I'll let you kind of let everybody know who you are, and we'll get it going.
Good evening, good afternoon, whatever time of the world you're listening to this from. My name is Dianne Web-Skillings. I live in central Minnesota, and I've just been out doing Patriot stuff for the last 5 years, pretty much full time. And I'm here to encourage people to get involved and to use the skills they have to do something productive.
Yeah. So saying it the way you did there. So what kind of skills are you looking for up there in Minnesota to get out and do some things, and what things are you wanting to get done?
Well, some of the things that I've done over the last 5 years is reaching out to my sheriff. I have a good rapport with him. That came about through Sheriff Mack. That was one of the rabbit holes I went down. Another thing is I wrote multiple letters to J6ers that were imprisoned through no wrongdoing. So I have written letters. I periodically write articles and have them published in the newspaper. About a year and a half ago, I was asked to run for office. So I did that a year ago. Another thing I like to do is just fly the flag, go out on the corner and find yourself a good spot to hang out and get a good wind going and fly the flag and show people that you got to do stuff to make this happen.
Yeah, absolutely. If we don't do something, we just sit on our hands and nothing's getting accomplished for sure.
Yeah.
So I know you have a caucus up there, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, I do.
So you're looking to gather support, gather people for the caucus for delegates. Is that right?
Yeah. One of the things that we're finding is that, and even I did the same thing. You go to caucus and then you go to the convention and then you think your duties are over. And it's like, that's not the whole situation. We need people. If you're going to go to caucus and become a delegate, it's pretty much a 2-year commitment. And you don't have to go through, or you don't need to go to all of the meetings and conventions that they have. But there are a couple that are really very important to attend, because that's where we are, where we elect the people at the low level, at the BPOU level. And a BPOU is a basic political operating unit. So the Republican Party or the Democratic Party or the Libertarian Party would have BPOU meetings. At least that's how they do it here in Minnesota. So yeah, we have some of the people that I ran into while I was campaigning and knocking on doors. They would tell me that they had tried to get active in the different communities, but the BPOUs around here actually would push them away. And, we don't need your help. It's really nice that you're here, but you don't really need to be here because we've got this all under control and we don't need your help. Oh, but that's not we the people. That's we the BPOUs, the establishment Republicans in the state. Oh,
Yeah, so it's up to we the people,
yep.
all the way around. No matter what it is, it needs to go through we the people.
Absolutely.
What we say needs to go. I mean, that's why the Constitution starts out like it does. We the people, not we the government. So,
when I was campaigning last year, that was really one of my big. So I was primaried in August a year ago, and the person that I ran against is a 12-year career corrupt politician, and they being him and his establishment cronies, spent about $30,000 on advertising and marketing for his campaign. I personally raised less than $3,000, and I came within 35 votes of taking him out. I knocked 2,500 doors last year. That's where I got my votes. That's why I say it's not about the money. It's not about the power. It's about the people. And we're going to go out. We're going to get those people that want to be involved with this, and we're going to straighten this stuff out.
Well, running for office myself, I really hope that, you were that close, 35 votes by taking the incumbent out. I really
out of 5,550, yes.
So I really hope that you run again, because that will help big time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've got some plans for the area, so we'll see where it goes. So
yeah,
if I don't run myself, I'm definitely going to be guiding and helping the person that is going to be running, and the person that wants to run is retired, and he had worked for the federal government for the last 35 years and is sick and tired of keeping his mouth shut. So he's ready to go. He's retired and he's got money. So we're going to work together and we're going to make it happen. Absolutely. And that's him, and I are going out soon and starting to go talk to delegates and handing out the information. If you can help with this is what your expectations are. And if you want to get a little bit more involved, well, then we can send you to these conventions as well. But people need to know ahead of time, if you sign up to be a delegate, it's not just going to caucus. There's more to it than that. Absolutely.
Yep. I'm not up on how caucuses work. We just have a primary election, general election here in Kentucky, so I'm not sure how the caucuses work. But
well, here in Minnesota, and this is really the first time I personally have participated in this, but each precinct gets so many delegates. And then you go from the precinct level to the county level, and then your delegates change. And then from this county level, then it goes up to the SD or the Senate district, and then it's the congressional district, and it just keeps going up. So if you want to be a delegate for all of that stuff, more power to you. But what we need is we just need the local delegates so that we can do better with our BPOUs. Absolutely.
Yeah. Of course, everybody knows Tim Walz country for sure. Obviously, everybody was for him when he ran for governor. Since he's ran for vice president, do you see a swing going against with Tim up there, or is it still? We're still okay with him?
I'm going to say I don't believe that he had that many votes to begin with. There's a lot of these elections that have been corrupt for a long time. And are these people elected or are they selected? Because, boy, what he has, he's gotten a lot of training from Chinese government. He's spent many, many, many trips over to China. And between us, California, and Washington, we're probably some of the most Marxist states in the Union. So they have done this strategically. As far as people in the outstate, no, we don't really care for him out here. He apparently has more of a fan club down in the metro. And that's to me because it's a completely different lifestyle. The people down in the metro are not like us out here in the country.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So, John, you got anything so far?
Well, it seems that it's always that way. The larger the city, the more liberal they become. Um, it gets to be ridiculousness because they're trying to decide for everybody else. But I'm kind of curious, who's going to be the next governor of Minnesota? Do you think?
I don't know. You know, I was just at a convention on Saturday, and there was a couple people that were talking about, but it's like they're just not governor material.
You don't think Brad Kohler's governor material?
Well, yeah, Brad Kohler's okay. I've met Brad. We were at the Defend the Guard rally not too long ago. He would be. There's Philip Parrish, but I don't. Once again, you can be as good as you want to, but if they're going to cheat at the elections again, how do we get around it?
I had that discussion with Brad myself. He had issues in Minnesota, like you,
Yeah.
a few other people I know about, and that's really the issue within the party. You know, somebody once asked, and I've said this several times on these shows, how do you stop corruption? And my answer to that is, it starts with the party and it ends with the party. You got to fix the corruption within your own party. If you don't, you're always going to have corruption. You got to police yourselves, and neither party, as far as the two main parties go, are exempt from that. They're both dealing with a lot of corruption. I think the Democrat Party's dealing with more, and that's pretty obvious. But they also deal with the groupthink process, don't you think?
And hence the reason why we need to get delegates out there so we can sweep this clean and start over. We got to get these people out of here.
So that's the path, right? Is to get the delegates in there because ultimately they're the ones watching.
Correct. Yeah. Correct. And they will be the ones that are going to vote these people in or out. And, this, especially in my area here, this last convention that we had in March, we were just, the establishment outnumbered the grassroots, period. But then there's 5 counties in this district, and there's parts of 5 counties in this district. 3.5 of them are MAGA. So we got the first, the 3 of them over west of us, they're okay because they have done a complete flip with their boards in the last now it'll be 3 years since that happened. So, so we got, part of it's okay, but it's the part over here that's been, these people have been in this neighborhood forever. I mean, you can see their last names on signs all over the place. So, they've been here forever. No, and I don't know about you guys, but I've always lived in Minnesota, but I've never lived in one place for more than 15 years.
I have seen that. People, hey, I've known Bob. So I grew up with Bob, so I got to vote for Bob. Bob doesn't qualify, but because I know Bob, I'm going to vote for Bob. Or,
absolutely.
Jerry over there, he was my kid's teacher in the 6th grade, so I got to vote for Jerry. You get some of that going on.
Oh, yeah. He's a really nice guy. I don't see how you could ever say anything bad about him. Well, that's because you're not looking. You're convinced that they are nice guys, so you just don't go any deeper than that.
No, that could be a tell because we rate people on our own standards.
Also true. Also true.
But yeah, you do see that in towns when people know each other. Maybe that's why local politics is the worst. They often say local politics is the worst form of politics, and that's probably true, and that's probably why.
And and local at the local level too. There's just as much corruption as there is at the state or federal level.
More, yeah.
When I started going to the local BPRU meetings, it'll be 4 years now in August. Over the summers, but it was right after J6. J6 is what sent me over the edge, and it was like, okay, I got to do something. And so I started attending the local meetings. And I sat there for 2 years, and they have their coffee and cookies at every meeting, and then they plan their 2 fundraisers for the year, and then they have their fair booth, and that's about all they do. And it was like, so after 2 years of watching this, I was like, do you guys do anything else? I mean, do you go to the high school and, reach out to the kids and tell them how exciting this could be if we've really followed the rules and did it the right way? And do you, there's other things that these groups can do, and that's not what they were doing. They're just simply, they have their meeting and they go home.
Well, a party is a political party. Just like whenever you run for office, you don't garner support just by putting your name on a ballot or just putting your name out there. You have to go out, you have to door knock, you have to go to events, you have to get in front of people. How do you grow a party? The same exact way. If you don't go out and you don't door knock, you don't do events and get the party in front of people, that party's never going to grow and will never bring in the good, I guess, patriots to weed out the corruption if the party don't go out, knock on doors, get in front of people, have booths at fairs and things like that.
Right.
It don't grow itself.
Well, and part of it too is the what was I going to say about the? Excuse me, I had a good thought and then I lost it.
That happens. That does happen.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, you put a hot microphone in front of somebody, or get them on a video, and sometimes your thought process doesn't quite click the way you expect it to, because there's so much to cover.
It don't matter if I'm in front of a mic or a video or not. Mine just never does.
It just never does. That's just how you function, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, let's see. What we're talking about here. Interaction and stuff. So you're talking about basically trying to educate people in society, bring people up, which is part of what we try to do here by bringing folks like yourself on. What would you suggest the party do? You mentioned going to the schools and stuff. What would you suggest they do otherwise? Basically, try to just get some community interactions, get people more involved in
Well, but see, that's it's about making the relationships with these people. Some of the conversations I had with people last year, I would mention God, and they were like, "Oh, you talk about God?" Yes. And I know what it was like. I was going to say picking a party. Okay, I really did not want to run as a Republican last year because I'm not happy with the Republican Party. I mean, I don't want to tag myself as a Republican because it's almost like saying you're Christian. It's like you could be that person, but are you really that person?
Mm-hmm.
And these people that, especially my neighbors, and sometimes I think that's why God put me here 5 years ago. They have done things to me over the course of the last year and a half that I would have never done to a neighbor of mine. And it's you have to get rid of those people before you ask more people to come into this. And that's why we just have to. My friend that's going to be working with, I said we need 20 delegates, and he smiled and said, "I think we need 200 delegates." It's like, okay, let's go get them.
What you're essentially describing is George Washington in his farewell address. It stated that political parties are factions, and when you break it down, they're registered corporations. So you got these huge, enormous corporations running our country that people supposedly hate. And so he described them as factions. He said there will come a time when you serve the party doesn't serve you. And we've seen that time, have we not? Where we have political candidate or political elected officials, they have to go to the party headquarters on a daily basis and raise money for the party when they're supposed to be in Congress doing work. Protecting us from erroneous bills, and these bills are being voted on, and they're over here trying to fundraise and stuff or whatever,
Well, here in Minnesota, representatives have to run every 2 years. So basically, you just get done running, and then you have to start running again.
You're always in the loop. Yeah.
Yep.
And then the whole summer last year, he was out running, doing all this other stuff. Well, don't you need to be doing something at the Capitol? I mean, who's paying him to not be at the Capitol? We are.
It seems to me if I was a representative or a senator of a state, on a federal level, or even on a local level, wouldn't you want to have groups of people behind you? Wouldn't you want to have people that are in business and people that are in the community that are employed and have like little select individual committees that you report to and they're working with you and they're kind of guiding you? And that way, so when you're representing them on voting and stuff, they're the people that are on your mind because they're the people you're really representing. But when people get elected, for some reason, they don't really want your input. They just want your vote and your money. Then they're over there taking their orders from the party, and it becomes sickening because it's no longer about we the people; it's about the party.
Well, and I mean, here in Minnesota, to me, it's like, and to not just me, to many people, our Republican candidates are working with the Democrats. There was a vote last week. I think what was the count? It was like, I don't know. There was 21 people, the 21 legislators that voted against this, and it was like 21 out of 100 and however many. Well, that means 2/3 of the Republicans voted along with the Democrats. Excuse me? Why are they doing that? I mean, we're Minnesota nice. We're Minnesota, and I don't want to get into the LGBTQ rainbow stuff, but there's a lot of that stuff being taught to our children here in Minnesota, and it's so frightening to me. I have 15 grandbabies, and I don't want any of them to know the things that I learned when I got my endorsement last summer from the Child Protection League. I don't want them to know any of the stuff that I had to learn. And that's what they're pushing in the school system here. Oh, it's really sad.
So the DEI is not dead. Is that what you're saying? The DEI.
I'm sorry?
I said the DEI and the leftist agenda is not dead. Is that what you're saying?
Not in Minnesota at all. No. Child Protection League, I mean, they're doing wonderful things. But I mean, in even some of the anti-abortion people or the anti-abortion like MCCL, Minnesota Citizens Concerned for Life. There's so much corruption. I am so happy that Doge is coming in and taking care of some of these people that have been getting money all these years and taking it away from them. And I hope they keep going and come down here to the state level because there's a bunch of it here in Minnesota. And I don't like the numbers that they tell us for how much money they've lost. It's like, boy, I've kept books for quite a number of companies over the years. And if I would have lost $100, I would have been in trouble. So the fact that they're losing millions and millions and millions of dollars of taxpayer money it's out of control, and it needs to be reined in.
So it's actually no secret, Tim Walz, Democratic Party. Yep. But how's your House of Representatives and your state Senate? Or is it majority Democrat or is it majority Republican? How's that look?
Well, they had a trifecta until now in November, and I believe the Senate is ahead they're neck and neck. I don't remember for sure which ones got the most, but I think the House has more Republicans and the Senate has one more senator. But then, we have one senator a year ago got caught. She was burglarizing her stepmom's house in the middle of the night, dressed in black with a hammer in her hand. And she's still on the floor in the Senate. She's still working for the state of Minnesota but she's never been officially charged with anything. So, she just keeps doing what she's doing. And then there was another one, a Republican senator that just maybe 8 weeks ago got caught with, what was it? It was sexual relations with a minor. There's a good Republican. Now we need more of those in Minnesota. Oh, it's sickening.
Yeah.
And he never came out with a he never said he didn't do it. So he hasn't said anything since he got arrested. So that would tell me that he did it, wouldn't it? Because if he hadn't have done it, he would have come out and said, "Hey, I did not do that. I was framed. Somebody got me in trouble, but he got caught red-handed."
Try to defend yourself. I mean,
I'm sorry.
You would definitely try to defend yourself especially on something like that, if you didn't do it, for sure.
A senator? Absolutely. So no, we had a trifecta, but now we don't have the trifecta anymore, but it's still 2-1. So it's real close.
So your governor obviously is a Democrat. Your president of the state senate is Bobby Joe, who's a Democrat. Your state speaker of the House is Lisa DeMuth, who's a Republican.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think
the House is
representatives are equal in numbers.
Okay.
60, 70, 67 tie. You have 134 members.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, 50-50. And if we had real Republicans in this state, I believe there's if our national elections were 76% to 24%, how can we not be pulling numbers at least somewhere close to that? I just can't believe that there's that many Democrats living in this state.
Well, it's weird, especially here in Kentucky, right? Kentucky, when it comes to presidential elections, always goes red, right?
Okay.
They always go blue when it comes to governor for whatever reason. But the red, we've got super majority in the House and the Senate. So it's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. I have a really good senator. I actually probably have the best senator in the entire state. So, which I'm very thankful for that. But I got the best sheriff and I got the best senator.
Well, sounds like you better stay put.
Yeah. Yeah, it is pretty safe right here. So.
Yeah, I mean, look, go ahead, John.
Oh, I was going to say, so you have a constitutional sheriff?
Yes, we do.
You do? Is he a leader for Sheriff Mack? Is he part of his organization? Yeah.
Yes, Sheriff Mack's an awesome man. I'll tell you, I met him in person, talked to him for a while.
Yeah, I got to meet him a year ago last fall. He was just a few miles from here. So, and they're talking about bringing him back again. Oh, and that's after J6, that was the first person that I found his books, and I started looking at his books, and I ordered books. And when I got them, I sent one to my local sheriff with a just a little personal note and my phone number, and he called me from his cell phone. And him and I have worked together on a couple different projects now. I'm sure you know who Liz Collin is, with the Liz Collin with the what's it called? Got it right here. They're lying, and the whole truth behind George Floyd. We did a presentation here in our small town of about 1,000 people, and we had over 250 people that showed up for that presentation. And I worked with both my sheriff and my senator I used their names on my flyer, and that's what drew the people in. So, and then we did The Fall of Minneapolis, the movie. We did a 2-night series here in town also, and he also helped me with that. Oh, and then when Sheriff Mack was in town, he helped promote that as well.
Huh.
Definitely.
Good deal. Yeah, we had him here in Kentucky for a thing a few years ago. And then, of course, I drove a truck over the road. Even before he came to Kentucky, I met up with him, had dinner when I drove a truck over the road out west there. And, he was a real good guy. he does everything right. I mean,
Mm.
when it comes to the sheriff's side and all that, I admired him for standing up and doing what was right for the sheriff.
I heard his story. Well, I heard his story 3 years ago and listened to it, and then I listened to it again one more time, and then I just heard it again the other day. And it's like what he did for this country. If we had more sheriffs that stood up like him, we wouldn't be where we are right now.
Right.
And then, do you suppose that these the legislators and the sheriffs, do they really read, understand, and comprehend what they're swearing their allegiance to when they swear their oath for the Constitution? Do they even understand it? Because we just had the Constitution read to us last night on a Zoom call that I was on. Boy, there's a lot to it.
It's not huge as far as the document goes, but it is packed. It is filled with data and information.
Absolutely.
Yep. Absolutely. And I don't think there's a lot of sheriffs throughout this country that's probably never really sat down and took a good look at the Constitution. But ones like Sheriff Mike gets sat down and read it and he knows it all like the back of his hand.
Yeah.
You can really tell the difference for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, he's really good about. He can just talk and talk and talk and talk and give you details and dates and tell the story. It's a great story.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
One of my favorite ones he told on Patriot Confederation with Billy and I, and it wasn't his necessarily, it was somebody else. It was another constitutional sheriff.
Mm-hmm.
And Billy had asked him to tell it, and he had said that, well, the sheriff, and I don't remember which sheriff it was confronted by a pastor in during COVID. And the pastor pretty much told him, he says, listen, sheriff, I don't answer to you. I don't answer to man. I don't answer to government. I answer to God and God alone. And we shall have our parishioners at our church. We shall worship God. We shall spend our time with God. And we're not going to back down from that. The sheriff says, well, I'm inclined to agree. He says, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to deputize you and all your parishioners for the sake of having church. And after the sheriff had done that, nobody could arrest them. Nobody could charge them for anything.
Awesome.
So I thought it was a great story. Sheriff Mack told it, but I thought it was a great story, because it's what constitutional sheriffs have the power to do to protect our rights.
Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And we need that. We need sheriffs that will stand up and do that. We need sheriffs that will stand up and protect our rights because our rights are under threat. You know how many laws there are that have been ruled by SCOTUS to be unconstitutional? I'm talking about Second Amendment right laws. Like the bump stock, storing your firearm. They can't force you to put it under lock and key. That's been ruled unconstitutional, but the laws are still there on the books. They never remove them, which creates confusion and chaos because people assume when they read the laws that it's a valid law when it is not. But if a law is being enforced and it's unconstitutional, now it becomes acting under the color of law because they don't have the enforcement power to enforce it.
Yep.
But we need the constitutional sheriffs behind us for that.
Aren't most of the laws unconstitutional? I mean, here in Minnesota, they tried to pass a law that you had to have your ammunition in one safe and your gun in another safe at all times.
It's
Wait
ridiculous.
a minute. Mr. Robert, could you hold on a minute? I got to go get 2 safes open to take care of this.
Yeah, and that's exactly what SCOTUS said. They said because your right to keep and bear arms, and arms are not restricted to firearms, by the way.
Yeah,
Your right to keep and bear arms was meant for a purpose, for defense, for you as an individual. And if you are forced to keep it under lock or key, or as you described, keeping your ammunition under lock and key separate from your firearm, that means it is not readily available at the time you need it for defense. Therefore, it is a violation of your constitutional right to keep and bear arms.
Yep.
And that isn't an infringement, which the Second Amendment says shall not be infringed.
Exactly. The only time your rights cease to exist in my eyes is when you are violating somebody else's rights. So, like, if
Mhm.
somebody wants to have a protest and they're taking up the sidewalk or the street and people can't freely travel, they are violating somebody else's right, unless they got a permit. If the city
Amen.
warranted it and they're going to pair the barricades up and stuff like that, that's different. But just to go out there and protest, sure, you got a First Amendment right to protest, but you don't have a right to infringe upon everybody else's right to travel. Remember when Occupy Democrats tried to do that many years ago? They were blocking up the sidewalks and the streets and stuff so people
Down
can't
in
they couldn't work on Wall
Minneapolis, they were
Street.
doing it on the freeway.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
had during George Floyd, they had so many people down there protesting that they would shut down 35W. Like
They
it's
tried
insane.
to. Remember that truck driver tried to he was rolling through and he had to stop because they were in
Yep.
the road. And they blamed the truck driver. It's
Yeah.
like they were the ones in the road.
Oh, there's so many things that I'll hear it and go, all right, that does not even make sense. My brain does not process some of the malarkey that's happening in this state because it's just it's fantasy. It's not. It can't be real.
Some of these goofballs actually glue their hand to the asphalt. All I can think is get a scraper out there, run it up underneath your hand. If you take the skin with you take the skin with it. They got it coming.
Mhm. Yep.
Nobody forced
Absolutely.
to
Yes. Good one.
submit their hand to the road for Christ's sake.
Good one.
Absolutely. My computer came unplugged on me. I was about ready to lose everything.
Oh,
Oh
geez.
no!
You
I was
almost
like,
I
whoa.
wondered where you disappeared to.
Yeah. I was like, oh my gosh. But yeah, it's I'm fortunate enough here to not only just in the county I live in, but surrounding counties. They all work together. They're all constitutional sheriffs. They're all, you know, they work together.
That's
Uh,
wonderful.
and if you call them and complain about something, if it's constitutionality, they're on top of it.
Yeah, I actually ordered another set of. I have 9 counties that touch my county, and I ordered enough books for all 9 of those sheriffs, and also sent them all copies of the book. And none of those, but that was like towards the end of COVID when everything was just crazy. So, and I never heard back from any of those, but I guess just the fact that I'd heard back from my own sheriff was way enough for me, because where I used to live over 200 miles from here, I have contacted that sheriff 3 times now, and he's never returned my phone call. No. And some of my friends that live over that way, they think he's corrupt. So, well, the fact that he has never returned my phone call would tell me that he must be corrupt, because
Yeah.
why wouldn't you return somebody's phone call after they called 3 times? Well, they don't want to
Yeah.
talk to me.
Well, they
That's
obviously don't care about the Constitution.
Yeah.
I mean, and that explains it all right there. Maybe you need to work with people in that county to get a new sheriff elected in that county just for that reason.
Yep, exactly. Oh, they'll be working on it. I'll guarantee it.
Like I said, they want your money and they want your vote. They don't care about your input.
Well, I tell
Nope.
you what, once we get this paperwork printed up for getting people to be delegates, it would be my dream to have that piece of paper distributed in all 87 counties. Because if we're really going to make a difference, it's going to take all 87 counties.
Yep.
Especially the ones out here in the Rocks and Cows land. That would be a Tim Walz thing. Do you guys know about Rocks and Cows?
I have not heard this one. This sounds like
I haven't either.
Oh, this is a Tim Walz. This is a good one. He was in the Guard before, and at the beginning of COVID, he or maybe it was during George Floyd, he'd made a comment that the guardsmen are just a bunch of cooks. Cooks, just a bunch of cooks is what the guards were. And it was like, oh my gosh, you humiliated our guardsmen. I mean, come on. They're way more. He was a guard. Why would he ever say that? He's not a cook. So anyway, well, then the next one that came out of his mouth was, well, the metro, something to do with the metro is way more important than the rest of the state of Minnesota because they're just a bunch of rocks and cows anyway. Well,
Oh wow.
there was a couple groups out here in the land of rocks and cows, and we have bumper stickers and T-shirts, and we have a Rocks and Cows Facebook page, and yeah, so they've really we expanded on that whole thing. So
When they say things like that, it really makes you realize how they value you or don't value
oh
you in that regard. You know, who are their constituents? And apparently their constituents are people in the urban areas, not people in rural areas. And it's sad
yeah,
that they openly say things like this. I
yeah.
mean, it's
Mhm.
good because they expose themselves, but it's sad that that's their sentiment towards us.
Well,
But
and
the people,
you shouldn't. I really think people need to kind of check their mouths before they just blurt stuff out and check to make sure that what you're saying isn't going to, and especially for our leader, you know, the governor of our state should not be condemning the rest of us out here.
Yeah, I think the governor of your state wanted to abandon his post a few weeks before he was supposed to be discharged.
Yep,
When
also
the
true.
going got hard and the tough needed to get going, apparently he was going the opposite direction.
well, you have to take those sayings and turn those sayings against the person that said it, right?
Oh
You
yeah,
know, you look at Joe Biden, calling everybody garbage that supported Trump. Well, automatically everybody started wearing the reflective vest, garbage people wear,
Yeah,
Trump's in a garbage truck. So you turn it against them,
man.
before deplorables, right?
yeah,
But they turned that word deplorable into something that was going to benefit Trump in the
into a
election.
positive. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's why
Well,
ours is Rocks and Cows Matter.
there you go.
Yeah, Rocks and Cows Matter.
Almost like a double whammy.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's like oh crap. No, I lost it. I just did what she did earlier. Well, you're talking
Good.
about spin and I had one too. It was good.
3, 2, 1. Okay, you forgot it. Uh,
No,
It's gone
somebody
now.
posted something here, but yeah, he says that's why I continue to bring up that each state should have an electoral style college so that everyone is represented, not just the large cities. This is Michael here, which is a good point. Regarding what goes on with the rocks and cows and the metro areas.
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's when it comes down here to governor. Like I said earlier, we tend to vote blue when it comes to governor. That's all because pretty much of Lexington and Louisville, Fayette County and Jefferson County, because them are two big populated areas that it's kind of hard to overcome those numbers in the rest of the state, just because of, even if there's a low number of Democrats voting, it's still hard to come and recover from that kind of an advantage just because it is ridiculous.
The only thing that I sometimes wonder is if these people really don't care, the ones that live in the city, why do they go vote? They go vote because somebody tells them to. They go vote because they get something out of it. They go vote for because, boy, so a lot of times you look at people and go, they don't seem to care about anything else. So why is voting such a big thing? But I don't know.
I
I'm convinced they cheat. So
I see that all the time. Is you get these people who are mindless, and they're only just regurgitating what the party has said. Like say the
yeah,
Democrats, and whatever the Democrats tell them to go out there and say, that's what they're doing. They're just out here all over social media regurgitating stuff. And if you try to get into depth with them on it all, they can't go in depth. They can't tell you why they feel this way. They just know they will got to say this thing. It's
Mhm.
ridiculousness. If you don't understand the policies, if you don't understand the agenda, then why are you out there trying to promote the agenda? And that's just because they're being puppeteered into doing it, thinking these are thoughts of their own.
hmm,
Mhm.
With that,
absolutely,
Tom.
absolutely.
Yeah. So, um, you know, it's it it's crazy that it's like that though. It's crazy that big cities kind of control state elections. Um, it, we need to get away from it somehow. And what's the best way forward? I don't know. I mean, I don't have that answer.
One of the things that and this is just a recent thought that I had, like within the last 10 days, even. All these years, and I'm guilty of it too. I was a township clerk for 13 years. We have, for the last however many years, we have done our research. We have decided who our candidate is. We make sure that we go to the polls. We get our I voted sticker, and we think they're going to do what they're supposed to do, and I got to go wash dishes, whatever it is. Well, now we have finally figured out that they're not doing what we thought they were supposed to be doing. So now we are selectively starting to watch them a little closer. And there's more of us watching them closer. And I hope that it keeps building, that there's more and more and more. And I hope that me being the little old granny lady that lives in the woods, if I can do this stuff, other people can do this stuff, because it's not that difficult. All you got to do is use some common sense, start talking to people, and go out and do something.
So tell me, what is the hottest sitcom on television right now?
Sitcom?
Yeah, what's the hottest sitcom? Do you know?
I don't even know, because I don't watch TV.
I think that's what it come down to, isn't it? We got tired of being placated to. We got tired of being distracted by stupid television, and it's really dumb. A
Oh,
lot
it
of the
is.
entertainment that we were watching through the years, when you look back, if you go back and look at it, you're going, wow, this stuff is really dumb. And so people began, especially with social media. Social media has been a great invention for this, as we become more aware. And we come to the realization that if we don't get involved in one way or the other, these things impact our lives. These people are making decisions for us. And we've seen the decisions they've been making. And it's like, oh my God, I can't believe these people are doing it. When you hear them actually speak and function, you realize they're not that brilliant. Some of these
Oh, no,
Yeah.
aren't
not at
that
all.
smart.
Like,
So
like
yeah,
really,
we're
how
more
did you get
inclined to
this
get involved.
job?
The
What
hottest
was
show
that?
for me that
Go ahead.
now the hottest show for me, John. I mean, if you really want me to answer it, I don't know about sitcom, but I really like watching Trump's cabinet meetings on TV. You know,
Yeah, yeah, those are entertaining. Politics did get interesting with these little political warfares they're having. It's been quite entertaining. It's probably more entertaining than television has ever been. I mean, they've attacked Trump for 8 years, and these last 4 years, I mean, it has been warfare. And Trump
Absolutely.
is just basically just like why washing his hands of these cases, going, "You're not getting me. You don't get it. You're not getting me." And we find like somebody like Letitia James being busted for the very things Trump has been charged for in New York State.
Hmm.
hmm
Yep, we were just having the conversation yesterday, or at the convention on Saturday. There, somebody had said something to one of the guys that was running for an office, and I told him, I said, "You got to remember, there's only one finger pointing your direction, and all three of the other ones are pointing back at that person. So
yep.
they want you to go this way. They want you to think that, but it's not. It's like doublespeak. They just want you to do that so that you're not looking at them. Three.
Yeah,
I
the most amazing thing about that is they're still trying to sell Russia collusion. They're still trying to sell their lies from 8 years ago. They think people are going to buy it.
hmm
Chaos,
Yep.
sports, and division. Those are the three words that I listened to in a video the other day. It was like, and that is so true, because the chaos is all the different crazy things that they tell us, and you think about it and go, "That's not right. That's no, it doesn't fit." And then the sports, you look at these stadiums. My gosh, could you fit any more people in there? If people got into politics and taking care of America like they get into hollering at football games, this world would be a different place. And then the other thing is the division. I mean, they don't want us to love one another. They want us to hate each other. And we cannot get through this without the help of our God above. And in my opinion, I hope either Jesus comes soon or Doge comes to Minnesota, because I'd love to see some of these people get taken out.
I'm a little cautious about that. They've actually got a Doge committee in Congress now, U.S. Congress. They My state, New Hampshire, has created a Doge committee. The governor created that, but who's doing it? How come we're not getting any reports from it? You don't hear anything about it. And also, federal Congress having a Doge committee, wasn't that what the Government Accountability Office was for?
Right.
Weren't they supposed to
Mhm.
be doing this in the first place? Isn't that
Yeah.
their job?
Isn't that what they were set up for? How it was that back in Obama days? Is that where that came from?
Oh no, way before Obama. The Government
Okay.
Accountability Office is supposed to be accountable. So, like, let's say a regulatory agency gets going to pass a piece of regulation. They send it to both the Government Accountability Office and to Congress, to the committees in Congress. So if it's transportation, it's going to go to the transportation committees. You got what's called a Congressional Review Act. So once the regulation's created, it goes to these two places and they
Yep.
review it. They got 60 days to review it before the regulation can go into effect. So, and if they review it and say, "Oh no, 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 we don't agree with this. We're shooting this down. We're stopping this now," they can do that. They can pretty much tell the regulatory agency, "No, this ain't happening."
That was probably back in Clinton years, wasn't it, John?
GAO? Oh
Yeah.
no, it was long before that. Geez,
Was
when
it?
was it created? We'll find
I'm
out.
not sure. I know it was. I know it was well before Obama.
1921, July 1st,
Oh my
1921.
gosh. That was like way before the decline in 33 too then, huh?
Yeah.
1921. My dad
Hmm.
was 4.
So they basically, because it was originally created because the Treasury Department to a new agency. GAO was created because the federal financial management was in disarray after World War One.
Makes sense.
And then what did they get away with their little happy department where they were supposedly watching people?
What was the question?
I said, and then what did they get away with after they created this department that was supposedly watching people?
Well, they get away with stuff all the time. I mean, look, we watch regulatory agencies violate the Unfunded Mandate Reforms Act and the Regulatory Flexibility Act, and
Yeah.
they violate these laws all the time because the benefits outweigh the cost, or the
Oh,
benefits outweigh. You
sure.
know what I'm saying? It's like,
Sure.
no, no, this is just double speak. And if I violate the law because the benefits outweigh the law, it's like all of a suddenly I'm going to jail. you know. Or getting fined, like, let's say logbook violations, James or Greg, they fine us in a heartbeat, right? Even though
Oh,
it's impractical, you can't find a place to stop because there's no parking, and they won't make any parking spaces for us. But then, hey,
Hmm.
what for the fine?
Well, and that's you mentioned that. Look at Arkansas. Not very many truck stops down there. You run over your time, you have to stop, right? So the only place you have is on the on and off ramps. Well, it's illegal to park on and off ramps in Arkansas. So, they're going to bust you. I think they come up with that to bust you to make the state more money.
yeah. I don't doubt it. Well,
The
and then they don't give you parking spots either because you got to keep moving, or you're gonna. What do you have to pull off the highway and go in somewhere? Is that?
There's just no money to be made off making parking spaces, right? See,
Well,
okay,
No.
so when they make an electronic logging device for truck drivers, technology has been dubbed the fourth industrial revolution. Everybody's making money hand over fist. As to my understanding, it was that Big Orange Company out of Wisconsin went down the transportation committee chairman in Florida and pushed this thing about the electronic logging device being a mandate. And they pushed it right through Congress, and they made a $6 billion business of it. Well, a lot of these people are invested into telematics devices, so they're going to
Hmm.
make money off this $6 billion industry they just created, right?
Yep.
So, they're going to make money off that. When it comes to parking, what are they invested into for parking? Well, how
Nothing.
are they going to make money off it? They're never going to do anything for us if they can't make money off it, or if it's not going to return an investment somewhere.
That
Yeah.
and the trucks aren't making money if there's parked.
Well, but you have to stop. I mean,
Exactly. It's not even fair.
yeah.
So it's
Like you want to
crazy. It's not
avoid
just trucks.
Arkansas so you don't have, so you can actually stop and rest when you need to.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard to do that, though. I mean,
Isn't that the
a
home of
lot.
Walmart?
It is. Long
Well,
49 there.
Yeah,
truck
you got to keep those trucks moving because
truck
everybody
drivers
needs Walmart.
truck drivers used to rely on places like Walmart to park, and Walmart parking lots of stores and stuff. The problem is you got local city ordinances prohibiting it.
Yeah.
I once read in the paper there in Norman Beach, Florida, that I think the Walmart store there owed $40,000 worth of fines because of big truck parking and RV parking, overnight parking.
Hmm.
Yeah, and that's another argument. I could take another hour on something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
I mean that's ridiculous. But we're coming down on our 1 hour mark. Diane, is there anything else that you'd like to bring up real quick, or like to say, or like to invite people to something? Feel free to do so.
Not that I know of right at this moment. No, just I really just want people to be active, and there's always something to do. And if we the people want to make a change, then we the people have to work together to do it. This is
Yeah,
not about me. This is about we, and that means all of us.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. It's up to we the people. Nobody else is going to do any. If you don't do anything, then you can't complain about not being changed. Uh, but if you're going to stand up and fight for change, make sure you don't stop.
Mm-hmm.
Just keep going, because it takes we the people to get things done, and we could be loud enough. We just have to not stop.
And there are days that you need to step away from the madness. So I mean, you just got to take a break, and I mean, because there are days that it's like I can't do anymore. I don't want to do anymore. I'm done with this. It's just like I want to walk away. But then somebody calls or I read something. And it's like, okay, I'll keep going.
Yeah,
You get rejuvenated and you take off again.
yeah.
Are you familiar with the Constitution Conference happening in Minnesota here on the 17th?
Yes, actually, with there's a group. Rick Green, is that who it is?
Yeah, that's it.
Absolutely. That's actually my birthday, so I won't be there.
Oh, geez. Yeah, it's
Oh, but
happening in Detroit Lakes, Minnesota.
Detroit Lakes, Minnesota.
Somebody
Yep.
sent us here at TIBN. They sent us here recently that this was happening. They're trying to promote it. So I should probably forward it to you. At least maybe you can share it with some of your folks out there. And
yeah, actually, I know the people that are putting it on, so I have the information, and I have graduated from Rick Green's Constitution class as well.
Oh, nice.
I mean, that's another thing people could do. Take the Constitution
Good deal.
class. It's being offered in multiple places around Minnesota. Oh,
Yeah, definitely need to people need to educate themselves. It's all part of the process, There's a lot to the U.S. Constitution, as you said earlier, and understanding it is beneficial, especially if you want to have the talking points.
yeah, and I actually I took the class 2 years ago, and I hope and pray maybe next winter it'll be slow enough that I would love to take it again, because I mean you there's no way you can get it all the first time.
I always tell people to go to Hillsdale College too online. It's a free Constitution class, really good class.
Yeah, I started that one. Isn't it like 14 weeks or something?
Mm-hmm.
I started that one, but it was, and I'm kind of the person that I need somebody like a buddy to let's do this together, because I get partway through it and then I get distracted and I don't go back to it. So
right.
But
Well, Diane, we appreciate you coming on this week and talking about all things Minnesota.
thank you very much, Greg and John.
Not a problem. And anytime that anything comes up that you feel like it needs to be put out there, feel free to let us know. We'll bring you back on. Not a big deal.
All right.
So, but yeah, if you like the political talk, John has on Tuesday night, Patriot Confederation starting at 7 o'clock. And then on Wednesday night, he has the Common Sense Conservative, his only 2 hour show. He has a trucking show that turns political quite a bit on Thursday night, the Independent Trucker Show. All those shows start at 7 p.m. Eastern. On Sunday, John's wife, TJ, they have the brew on is that 4 o'clock, John, Eastern time?
Well, it was, but they're going to move it to Thursday at 6 o'clock now.
Oh, so an hour before
We're going to have
your
back-to-back shows on Thursday because they're just Sunday's
okay.
not a very good day for them. So
Gotcha. Okay, so that will be on Thursdays at 6 p.m. Eastern before his Independent Trucker Show. And then we'll be back next Monday at 7 o'clock with America Talks next week. And I believe that's it for me, John. You can take it away.
awesome, cool deal. As always, I'll give you the trucker's farewell, ladies and gentlemen. Keep the greasy side down, the shiny side up, in between the lines. Safe travels wherever you may be going. Be good. If you can't be good, well, be good. If be good. If you can't be good, well, be good at it. And we gone.